Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. Today we are painting the 8th page of the Quaint Scenery watercolor coloring book. It's a book that I make myself, all handmade through the use of lithographs. And if you purchased the book from me, thank you, I appreciate that. And if you haven't and are interested in doing that, the link for that will be in the description of the video. And if you just want to paint along with us, you can just kind of pause the image, draw it out on a nice piece of watercolor paper, preferably cotton paper, and then once you're done drawing it, just play it and paint along with us. And with that, we'll jump over to the drawing table. So this is the image that we're working on today, and this is what the finished image will look like. It's just a nice quaint scenery in Venice, where somebody's just driving their boat through the canal. And I always recommend having a little plate. This is just a soap dish, or you can use any old regular porcelain plate or glass or whatever works. All the paints I use are from the little kit that I make myself. This is the kit. The description for that will also be in the link for that will also be in the description. And it comes with the 10 paints. There's one missing on this one. This one has 10. And then a little brush. This is the same brush that I'll be using. That way, if you purchase it from me, you'll have all the exact same tools that I'm using. I always recommend just having like a spare sheet on the side. It can be watercolor paper or mixed media paper, or just a regular paper. Really, it's just a scrap piece of paper to help you like just lay down some marks, and kind of like sometimes I like to sculpt the tip of the brush, especially if I'm doing like really tight lines, and I'll show you how to do that later on in the video. Also, just a rag helps a lot. If you mess up, or if you just want to dry off the brush, any of that is, the rag can become very useful for a lot of different reasons. And with that, let's start painting. So let me just adjust myself here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I have a cup here on the side from the, you can't see it, it's off camera, but basically, so I'm not using the reservoir, I'm just dipping it and using the water, so I don't have to keep changing the reservoir. But basically, what we'll start here is, the first thing, we will color a bunch of the buildings. This building, this building, this one, this one, this one, this one back here, and up here in the front. There's a, it's kind of like a pink, almost like a, it's like an old building type pink color. You see every now and then. So we'll get a bunch of white. It's kind of like a worn out pink. You've probably seen some buildings that have the same color. Get a little burgundy. A little bit of yellow, or the darker yellow. A little more burgundy. A little more white. That's getting closer, but not white. Not quite the color that we want. We get a little bit of brown, just a little bit. It's like a very pastel looking pink. Get a bunch of water so we can make sure that it's not opaque, because we want it to be fairly light and transparent. We want the white of the paper to come through to lighten up the color. We'll add a little more white. And again, just for reference, this building, this building, this building, this building, and up here at the front, that's the color we're going for. And this looks pretty much like the one that we need. Just make sure that it's nice and watery, because we want it to be transparent. So we're just gonna go right in. I'm gonna go right in here. Just start laying in the color. Just avoid the frame of the window. I like that color. It came out very well. That's pretty much exactly the color that we need. If there's some texture or variation, that's okay. Leave it in there because that's how a building would normally look in real life. There's a lot of variation in the paint and how it's like dried from the sun and how it appears. So all of that is good. We can also get some here in the little... You can actually just paint right over these, to be honest, because they're going to be a very dark color. So you can actually just go straight in. But try to stop right there where the line is, so that it doesn't... So that you're not painting the pavement as well. So that's good for that building. And then we'll move on right on to the next one. Again, avoid painting the frames of the windows. If you can, if you get a little bit in there, it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna leave this right here blank. And just get it all in here, in between these frames. We're gonna leave this white, but we will go in here where the triangle is. We're gonna leave the dot in the middle white. So all of that's good. And down here also, still part of the building. And then we'll just transition right on to the next building. Like that. And leave that little rectangle white. Going in right there. And there. You can cover this. This is going to be a darker color, so when we go in and paint over it, it's not going to be it's not going to give us any problems. So you can just cover these two little doors here, and then all the way in the back, there's a door that's going to be like pretty much black, so we can just go ahead and cover over that because we can just paint over later on. And then all of this, do that pink. We're gonna leave this window here, leave that white, and then paint right here, and then actually also just gonna paint the whole thing right here. I got a little bit too much on my brush, so my trusty rag, I'm just gonna dry off the brush and then pick up some of that color and dry it off again, and then do the same. And then that's fine. That's fine like that. We're gonna grab some more pink, and then this whole column over here actually is gonna be pink. And that helps tie in the painting a lot because it almost kind of frames it with that color. Just put that right in. We're good right there. And give it a moment, just kind of take a look at it. I always like stopping and looking at the piece as I'm filling in different sections. It's interesting how it just makes the piece come together so much more every time you add a new section, a new color. It's just very interesting to me. So next, we will be mixing these buildings, kind of like a beige color. This beige over here, a little bit up here, and some in the boat. we can go ahead and grab some of the brown right there, the yellow, and some white. And that right there is pretty close to exactly what we need. I just want just a little bit more brown. Just make it just a little more. Give it a little more color. Otherwise it's too close to the pink that we used. Maybe a little more yellow. And a little more brown. We're very close. We're very close to the color that we want. A little more yellow. And that looks good. And now we're just going to dilute it with more water. Alright, and so the first thing we will color in is there's almost like some kind of a podium or a porch or something up here. Looks like it's made out of wood. We'll go ahead and we'll cover that in. And there's little posts right there. Just very slowly just kind of fill them in. If you go outside of the line, it's not the end of the world. You're doing good. Just do a flat wash right there on the boat, and right here on the bottom just leave a white stripe in the middle there, and then continue around the side. It seems to be just kind of like a wooden color, and then fill in on the top. These two round things, we'll leave them white. Not sure what those are. And then we go over here on the side. And right here, this is still a part of the boat. And then on top, just kind of like an outline here for what I'm guessing is the hull. Or no, that's not the hull. It's more like the roof. And then just that's it. So that's pretty much all of that color on the boat. Next, we'll move along down to the building here. And we're just going to avoid the windows because we're going to be coloring the ones on this side of the building. We're going to color them in with a green color. We don't want it to mix with the one underneath. So we'll avoid those. We'll leave them white. And then on the side here, we can go ahead and fill it in without a worry, since those little windows, the window shapes there, will be a darker color. And leave this little door here. And kind of go in here in between. And so that's good for that building. I have no idea why they would put a door down here at the water level. Like, that place must get flooded all the time. But anyway. And next, I'm going to get a little more water because we want it to be a little more diluted, like a little lighter. And then, again, avoid the windows on this side. On this side, we can get the window. That's okay. And going in like that. And just filling it in around the windows. And it's okay if some areas are a little lighter or a little darker, depending on how much pigment is on the brush. It helps give some variation, which makes it more interesting, also more realistic. Okay, get a little more water. And then on this side, we can basically just color in everything, since all the details that we apply here will use a darker tone, which won't clash with the color underneath. So we could just go ahead and fill all that in on this building here. And right here. Oh, that looks fine. There we go. There we go. Great. So again, stop, take a look at it, just give it a minute. I like that. It looks very interesting. You can see how things are coming together. And we've painted a lot so far. In 15 minutes, we've done a lot to transform what the image looks like. So that's pretty cool. Next, we will go ahead and mix where it looks like there's some kind of like worn out concrete running right here and here. So there's like the base of this walkway, this wall, and then another wall leading back this way. So we'll go ahead and we'll mix those next. Get a little bit of brown, put it right there. A little bit of blue, a little more blue. Okay. A little more blue. Usually if you mix brown with blue, you get a nice gray, kind of like grayish earth tone. That looks like pretty much exactly what we need, but we want to put a little bit more, just a little more blue and more water to make it more transparent when we lay down the first wash. So here we go, we'll go down here. Just like that. Just be careful. Take your time. If you go out of line a little bit, that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Okay. And then up here a little bit. And then going in here. And also in here. This pillar, the base over here, and right here. So all that's looking pretty good. And next we're just gonna add a little water right here while we still have the pigment on the brush. Maybe get a little bit from here and then get a little more brown. That's a lot more brown. I'm gonna pick some of it up with the brush, rinse it off, and get a little bit from here. And mix it in a little more, and next I'll go ahead and I'll use that for a flat wash over here. It's still kind of like a worn out brown, but it differs from the color over here, and that's what we're aiming for. I'm just gonna put it all in here, right there, right there. So far so good. We're gonna rinse our brush. And I actually noticed that I missed a little bit right here. The pink that we mixed earlier. I'm gonna use that right here. Just 2 stripes right there. Actually, that's too much pigment. I'm gonna dry off my brush and then just pick it up and then do that again. There we go. Rinse off my brush. Okay, cool. So far so good. And then next, this little brownish, grayish, we're gonna add a little more brown to that, like that. And what we'll do with that is we'll go ahead and we'll lay it down over here on the boat. Just the top here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll grab it and we'll do an outline right here where the edge of the boat is. It doesn't have to be perfect. Do a little outline right here and right here, and again going along the side of the boat on top of the white part Just go like that. There we go. And also another one right down here. Rinse off our brush. Looking good so far. And next we can go ahead and mix the rooftops. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5. It looks like 5 or 6 maybe little rooftops here. And the way that we'll mix that is I'm actually going to go ahead and grab a different plate. If you're using a plate at home, just if you have a big plate, just use a different area or switch out to a new plate. Basically, I'm just going to grab a little bit of burgundy, a little bit of brown. Okay, those look good. But I need to dull them down a little bit, and I'll do that by picking up a little bit of the green here. And that's good, except I dulled them down too much. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this red and throw it in, kind of mix it up. I need it to be more red, so I'm going to just go straight for that red. And mix it. We're almost at the color that we need to be. And let's see, maybe a little bit of blue here. Let's see, that's so close. I'm gonna grab my scrap piece of paper. Let's see. That's very close. It needs to be redder though. It needs more red. Actually, I'm going to grab some burgundy. Mix it in. And that's better. Maybe a little more. Right there. Yep, that is the color that we're looking for. So we'll grab some water. Kind of diluted so we can make a nice wash. And just go right in, and here's the first one up here, and then the next one is down here, next building over, and just a flat wash. I'm not worrying about texture, we're just laying down the color. And there we go. Perfect. Or close enough anyway. Then back here, I'm gonna dry off my brush a little bit, and while there's still some pigment on there, I'm gonna go ahead and just put on a little color there. Now you see how it looks a lot less saturated since we took off the pigment from the brush, so that's fine right there. Then we're gonna pick up some more color, and then I'm gonna get this little rooftop right here. It's kind of hiding in there in between the buildings. Do a little outline up here on this building and go down this way. Perfect. And then we're gonna go on the next one over and go right there. And just slowly fill in the rooftop. There we go. That's good. Now this little door right here is the same color. I'm just gonna put a little bit of red right there. And so is this little boat right here just hanging out. I'm just gonna give it that. Alright, rinse off our brush. Take a moment, take a look at it again. I really like it so far. It looks really good. There's a little mess up here that I made that I'm just gonna pick up with my brush, maybe with my rag. I'm not gonna worry about it too much because I don't want to make it worse. So it's not the end of the world. Next thing we'll do is we're gonna color in these little doors here. All they are is this black. We're just gonna grab that, and it's really more of a bluish black, but when we do a wash, it comes out more like a cool gray. So that's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and we'll grab this, and we're just gonna go right in. And we're still gonna avoid the frame of the door or window, wherever that is. We're gonna avoid the frame and just color in those little areas that have a door on them, like that. And fill in this one. And another one up here. And that's that. We'll rinse off our brush. So we're good on that. Next thing that we will need is we do want to mix some green here for these little shrubs. And the way we'll do that is we'll get our green from there. Get a little bit of brown. Okay. Get a little more green. And dilute that with water, and then get some yellow. Get a little more yellow. And that's almost the color that we want. Let me test it out here on my scrap piece of paper. Actually, that is exactly the color that we want. We just want it a little more transparent. Put some water on it. Okay, that's good. That's what we'll go with. So we're just gonna go right here. Just do a flat wash, color it in. And same right here. And just filling in where you see the little shrubs. That's perfect. And we'll rinse off our brush. Next, we're gonna want to color in this door right there, and that one's actually really, really simple. We're just gonna go brown, just directly brown, straight from the palette, and then just color it right in. That's a bit much, so I'm gonna rinse off my brush, dry it off a little bit, and then just kind of spread the color that I already laid down. I'm just gonna spread that around, and a little bit here. I'm gonna dry off my brush, pick some of it up, and that's pretty much it. That's it for that one. Rinse off our brush. Next, we will be coloring in these windows right here. They kind of go in like a horizontal, all of these and these right here. We'll go ahead and we'll get those, and back here there's one also, and actually up front here there's two, so we'll get those as well. So we're gonna get the dark blue, just go directly in, get that dark blue, perfect. And we're actually going to start over here on this side. So we're going to color in this one. Right there. And there's another one right here. Just like that, just like a horizontal line. So sorry, I mean vertical line. And then same exact color. We'll go ahead and we'll get these ones. There's one right here. One right here. And one right here. Okay, get some more blue. And get the one right back here. There's like a little door. And then this one up here. This one down here. And then this one to the right. And then this one right here. All looks good so far. And then right here. Right here. Right here. Just going in slowly, take your time, nice and easy. Right here, and then right here. Okay, that all looks good. Rinse off our brush. We are chugging right along. So the next area that we'll color in is going to be this row of windows up here, this window, all of these windows, and these windows. Oh, we actually forgot this one right here. This one is also dark blue. I just realized that. Not a problem. Just a nice, quick little brush stroke, and okay, so that's good. Rinse off the brush. Okay. Next, we will switch over to another area of our mixing plate, or a new mixing plate. I don't know how much space you're working with, but I'm very kind of limited on space here. And what we'll do is we'll grab our green, the green directly from our palette, and we kind of want it to be more heavily pigmented. We don't want to dilute it with too much water, like kind of like this. This looks pretty good. We're just gonna grab that and we're gonna go right in, like this window right here, and this window, this window, this window, and this window. Okay, all that looks good. Gonna move over to right here, move in this window, and then this little window right here, little window, little rectangles. Get all of those, all of these right here. So that looks good. And then we're gonna go right here, these little windows. I'm just kind of trying to leave the frame around the windows, but if I get into the frame, that's okay too. And there we go, and rinse our brush. Okay, so all that looks pretty good. Now, the next thing that I would want to work on is the water. The water's gonna be a little tricky. So we're gonna get a little more green. This green is very bluish. It's like a bluish green. It's an interesting mix. But basically, we're gonna get a little of the light blue, and a little more, and then just kind of mix it all in. A little more light blue. There we go. So all of that looks good. This looks really good. This is basically the exact color that we want. but we want to make sure we dilute it really well. So I'm going to put a bunch of water, just picking it up straight from the cup and then kind of mixing it in. Because the first wash that we do, we're going to do several washes on the water. The first wash, we want it to be very light, because it's kind of like the base wash. And then once we have enough mixed, and you should have enough mixed to cover this whole area. So you just grab it, and then just go right in and just start laying it down. Just like that. We are going to leave some white spots to show ripples in the water. And just keep picking it up and then going back in. And we can leave a little bit right there, just show some ripples. And go in and kind of like that. Just show some ripples in the water. And pick up some more, and then right here. And just like that. Around where the boat is, it's kind of, you want to leave a lot of white ripples to show that the boat is moving through the water. Kind of a little sporadically, but just going with the lines that the water is creating, or that the boat is creating, to kind of give the sense of some motion through the water. And then back here, we can kind of fill all of this in. And as it gets closer to the water, or to the boat, a little more ripples. Like that, that's fine. And then just finish off down here. There we go. Look at that. It looks pretty good. Rinse off our brush. Now, while we let that dry, what we're going to do is we're going to switch back, or just move to the previous area that you had on your palette, or on your mixing plate, and get some black, just straight black. I'm going to dry off my brush a little bit because it's too wet. Because we don't want a lot of water. What we're going to do is we're going to do some outlines. And the very first thing we'll do is these bars right here that make the railing next to the sidewalk. We're just going to fill them in, going slowly. They're kind of like X's connecting from one post to the next. And you just go in, you make little X's, just carefully, ever so slowly. Going in and connecting them wherever you see that the little spots for them are. I know they look very dark right now, but don't worry, they will dry much lighter. And we are going to add a lot more darker areas to the piece, so it's not going to look overpowering. So just all the little X's going in, just slowly. This brush is not the best for detail work, as I'm sure you can tell, but if you go slowly and just kind of use the edge of the brush, you can get decent results. What I do is, when I get more pigment, it helps the bristles stick together. And so, for example, if you make a flat stroke and then you kind of turn the brush on its side, not like this, but on its side, you can get much thinner strokes because you're kind of using the edge of the brush as opposed to the whole flat side of the brush. Kind of like that. Okay, and then we can't forget the top here, top of the railing, bottom, and there we go. That's that. And then we're gonna get some more black. This time we're gonna go right in here where the boat is. And there's this black section. Not sure what that is, but it is black. And then here there's a little window, but it's very dark inside the boat, I guess, so you can't really see in there. And we're just filling all these in with the black color. Okay, so far so good. Now there are a couple of spots back here. The first one being right here on the side of the building. I'm just gonna do 3 little dots right there and 1 right down there. And then there's some right here. There's little rectangles. So basically just some small vertical lines to show that there's some windows there. There's some larger ones right here, here, and here. And same over here at the bottom, towards the bottom. Like that, and like that. Okay. And just take a moment, take a look at it. All of that looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. But we are going to continue with the black. We're not going to get more pigment. We're just going to use what's already on there. And basically, we're just going to go in and give a little outline. Here, we'll start right here. A little outline right there. And right there. Right there. Kind of like outlining the indents of the door. Like that. Up here, down here, so we're good on that, and just gonna give it a good look over. I think that's pretty good. We are gonna do a little outline right here. There's like a little bridge. We're gonna do a little outline right there. And there's like a little post there, a little wall or something, and just give a couple little strokes right there just to show that there's something. And now we're going to rinse off our brush. And then we're going to go back to the dark blue. We're not going to use a lot of water. We're going to do kind of like what we did with the black. We're just going to use really dark blue, and we're going to use that to emphasize some of the darks. So basically, over here, just like a small vertical line next to the places that we already laid down. Right there, and then a little right there, just like a little line, just to give it a little more depth. And then I'm actually gonna rub off a lot of the pigment, and then just whatever's left over. I'm not going to add any more water or anything. I'm just going to add this blue right here for what looks like to be the captain of this little boat. Okay, all of that looks pretty good. I'm gonna rinse off my brush, dry it off, and with the dry brush, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some of the red that we used for the roof previously. I'm gonna pick it up and we're gonna add it as a shadow. I'm gonna add some right here, maybe a little outline, just a little outline right there. And just add some of the shadow for this platform that seems to be on top of this building. Maybe just a little outline right there. So all that's good. A little outline right here on this roof. Also maybe a little bit on this roof. On this roof. And then definitely on this little boat. And you make it much darker. And on this door. Now rinse off our brush. Okay, we're almost done. What we're gonna do next is we'll switch back over to our water, or to the color that we mixed for the water. And what we'll do is, first things first, we're just gonna grab just directly from the blue here. Just some regular blue straight out of the pan. We're not gonna mix anything, maybe just some water. And we're gonna go like this. We're gonna go for the sky. Just brush it in, and just kind of going in like this, carefully, and just more, a little more, and then leave some white, obviously, for the clouds. And then we just go in, and that's it. Perfect. And now for this one right here, we're gonna add a little more green. I'm gonna mix it in, a little more green. And then we're gonna get just a little bit of the dark blue. There we go. And a little more. I'm just gonna stop and take a look at the painting real quick just to see what areas are dry. There's a little water drop there. I'm gonna pick it up. I'm just gonna kind of get a good look at see. And sometimes tilting your head from angle to angle will help you determine which areas are wet, because you'll be able to catch the light reflecting off of it a little more if you shift your head. So just take a moment and take a look to see which areas are dry. Okay, so I can definitely tell that up here where we just added the shadow and down here, those are still a little wet. Everything else is pretty much good to go, but since these two little areas are touching the water, or the part that we will be working on next, I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm actually gonna focus back in on where the little shrubs are. Because we have our green right here, all we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little more brown. Add a little more brown to the green. And then a little more green. And that's a nice dark green. And that is exactly what we'll use to put the shadows for the shrubbery. I'm just gonna lay it in like that. Short strokes, just kind of like making it textured. And basically just adding in more towards the bottom of the shrubs to show the form. Like that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Rinse off our brush. Yeah, that looks good. Then we can switch back over here. These are much drier now, so yeah, we can go ahead and but I'll work from here going that way. So I'll work on this area first. A lot of it we're just gonna leave completely like we're not gonna add any of the dark color in it. We will add some more of the lighter color just to give some texture to the ripples of the water, but for the most part we will start with working back here. Basically the darker blue-green we're just gonna add right there, and then just kind of maybe some ripples just to show a little bit of dark, and just do like a couple of strokes here and there just to show where the boat is causing the motor is causing the water to shift. So just a couple of darker strokes here and there, not too much. We don't need a lot, just a little bit, just to show the differing values in the water. It makes the whole thing look a lot more interesting, as well as adding some motion to what's going on. Okay, just like that. And then some right here. There we go. Perfect. Now we'll focus all the way back here. We'll go ahead and we'll lay in some dark tones and then just kind of ripple them out away from the building. Basically just kind of just do a little bit of slight extension from the building and just kind of ripple it out, kind of like that. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Next we will go back here, because the water gets darker when it's further back, because you can't see the reflection as well. So we'll add a little bit like that, and again just kind of rippling it in along the buildings, just all along the buildings, just adding some water. Okay, like that, and going all along, and then adding maybe just a little bit underneath the highlights of the water, and just kind of like some short horizontal strokes, kind of help give that idea that there's ripples going through the water. Just like, and go all the way up against the building, and then just kind of come off from the building, kind of like a little bit like that. And then don't be worried about adding a lot of dark close to where the building is, because light doesn't come in as much where the building meets the water, so it's okay to add a lot more right there. And then maybe some going off. And as it gets closer to you, maybe a little more dark spots going in the water, because you can see more of the ripples. You can see a lot more of the detail when it's closer to you. Okay, just like that. And okay, stop, take a look at it. And rinse off our brush and we're done. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with how this one turned out. Okay, so that was it for that page number 8 of the Quaint Scenery watercolor coloring book. Again, if you want to purchase one, it'll be in the description. I'm interested to see what it looks like, what people were able to make and how theirs looks. Now, obviously, you don't have to paint it exactly like that. You could do whatever you want, honestly. Change the building colors, change the lighting, it can even be at night. But that's just kind of like the base to go off of. And hey, look at that, not even an hour, 56 minutes so far. So I appreciate you painting along with me, and I will see you next time.